I'm Nicole Cartmel with the Bank of Missouri, here with our CEO and President, Adrian Breen. Today we're discussing the strength and stability of regional and local community banks. You know, there has been some confusing and at times even misleading information put out there about the banking industry. And as the CEO of a long-standing community bank and chairman-elect of the Missouri Bankers Association, I would love if you could shed some light on the current banking industry here in Missouri.
Great topic, and thanks for taking the time today, Nicole. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of share the story about the Bank of Missouri and some other banks in Missouri that are a lot different than the banks that are currently going through the crisis that seems to be captivating all the headlines out there. The Bank of Missouri is a Main Street bank, not a Wall Street bank, and we do not have some of the similar business practices that are shared by the banks that are struggling right now. And that can be a very long and detailed description, or we can keep it very simple and just say that the Bank of Missouri is a true community bank. We do not stray from what we know. That goes from our investment policy to our lending policies to our customer relationships. We are embedded in the communities that we do business in. So that has paid benefits for our employees, our communities, and our customers for a long time with the Bank of Missouri. And the crisis that you're seeing today in the news has started because of some specialty niches. It's a lot different in 2008, 2009, when the crisis was more widespread because of general economic conditions. These were more specific bank models that were functional and worked very well in good times. And then as the economy and situations started to change, they did not respond very well to that. So there's a vast difference between a good community bank like the Bank of Missouri and kind of cutting edge Silicon Valley and signature bank type organizations.
And that leads perfectly into our next question. With one of the recent bank failures, it was noted that they had a large amount of uninsured deposits. As a community bank, is this something that the Bank of Missouri has?
No, we do not, and that's a great point. That is a very well publicized number, and it was shocking for a lot of us that have been in the banking industry for a long time to see that actual number. We pale in comparison to that. We have a much more diversified deposit base than what the banks that currently struggle have. We don't invest in cryptocurrency and non-traditional investments. We have avoided that intentionally by design to stick to our community bank roots.
I appreciate that, Adrian. You know, as a consumer in this current economy, it's hard to know the safest place to keep an account. What makes a local community bank a safe place to keep your money?
Great question, and probably top of everyone's mind. First of all, in those communities where we do business, as I mentioned, we are embedded, and we are a Main Street bank, not a Wall Street bank, and most of our deposits are covered by the FDIC insurance. And as you know, that's $250,000 per account. Now, through different titling, joint account, individual accounts, families can get up well over $750,000. And I know the majority of our depositors are well within those ranges. And community banks, they're not included in this new too big to fail trend that we're hearing about. But quite honestly, I don't think that's a good reason to bank with a bank, is you're too big to fail. We have FDIC insurance, but we hope to never have to utilize that. We think we've got the policies, procedures, practices, oversight, and things that we need to make sure we don't ever have to depend on that as a fallback position.
Of course. Adrian, can you talk a little bit about our model when it comes to local bankers, our relationship-based approach to how we develop business here with our clients?
Absolutely. Probably one of our strengths. You know, we don't stray from what we know and who we know. And those relationships are much more beneficial than transactions, you know, and that's what I think we saw in the banks that have struggled, is a lot of those were transactions. A lot of those were non-traditional types of companies. Here in the state of Missouri, especially in the communities that the Bank of Missouri is in, we know those people, we know their companies, we know their reputation, and we feel that that gives us a great layer of protection from some of those challenges.
Now, regarding the Bank of Missouri, can you explain our capital levels and our liquidity that helps us know that the bank remains strong?
Sure. We are considered well capitalized by our examiners. We have a liquidity, on-balance sheet liquidity and liquidity position that meets and exceeds regulatory expectations, in addition to having a very diversified income statement and balance sheet. So no one's perfect, obviously. We can't control everything, but we have lived through now some unprecedented events right on the heels of unprecedented COVID and the pandemic and the fallout from all of that. And I think we have been tested and tried in those approaches, and they have helped us manage through these situations and even more challenging situations. So we're well capitalized. We have a lot of liquidity on our balance sheet right now and a diverse deposit base, of which the overwhelming majority of those deposits are already insured with the FDIC coverage. So we think that's a winning combination.
Of course, and with our 131-year history, we've been through great depressions, great recessions, so much.
We have, and that's an important point. 130 years, you lived through a lot of different business cycles. And I think it all starts with us, obviously with our employees and our customers and communities. But until situations like this come up, our board of directors, we have an amazing board of very talented people, very successful people individually that know what our risk tolerance is as an organization. They put those parameters in place for us to follow. And again, we're not a Wall Street bank, we're a Main Street community bank, and that does not get a lot of headlines. But as you see now, as the economy starts to turn and these untried and true approaches fail, the Bank of Missouri and our tried and tested approach has weathered the storm very well, and we remain positioned to take advantage of this opportunity.
Of course. Thanks, Adrian. And for a lot of consumers, as you mentioned, FDIC insurance may be enough security, especially when we know that spouse joint accounts can have up to $750,000 per couple, depending on how those accounts are titled. But for those customers with higher balances, do we have programs available to help them out if they need it?
We sure do. A company by the name of IntraFi that has a program called Cedars is kind of a one-stop shop. There's over 3,000 banks in the IntraFi network. And what that means to our customers is if you are concerned and you do have deposits in excess of those current FDIC limits, you can stop into any Bank of Missouri branch and have access to over 3,000 other banks right there from your Bank of Missouri branch. And what we appreciate and like most about that program is it's a reciprocal deposit relationship. So any money that we put into the program to provide additional FDIC insurance to our depositors, someone else pledges money back to the Bank of Missouri. So from a local community impact, from a bank liquidity, and all the other concerns that we have out there, it is a win-win for the customer, the bank, and our communities. And that's why we're a member in that network and appreciate that program.
So what steps would someone need to do if they wanted to start that discussion for that extra protection?
Stop into your local branch. You can stop in. We've done some extra training for our branch managers right now to go over FDIC coverage and some of those options just to be ready in case people do come in and start to ask those questions. We've taken that for granted for a long time as a foundational piece of just good, solid banking. Well, it's certainly in the headlines now, and we stand prepared to help.
Adrian, I have one last question for you. What practical advice can you offer Bank of Missouri customers and really just bank of customers across Missouri who may be wondering how to remain confident in this economy?
Great question. Do not follow the national headlines unless you bank at one of those too big to fail banks. Hopefully most people in Missouri do not, but we have a number of outstanding organizations and great bankers within the state of Missouri. A lot of them participate in the same networks that we do. A lot of them have the same discipline and approach to doing business the way we do. So do not panic by listening and reading national headlines that don't necessarily pertain to what's going on locally here. We are very fortunate in the state of Missouri to have the great bank and great bankers that we have in this state, and the state of the Missouri Bankers Association is solid. Those are good banks, so do not panic. Don't run out and think you have to follow the too big to fail story. Know your local bank, and most importantly, stop in. If you have concerns, I'm available. That's part of the advantage of banking at a great community bank like the Bank of Missouri is. I'm available to answer any questions. I know across the state in those bank groups that those people stand ready to answer those questions as well.
Yeah, just be your partner wherever life takes you.
Yes, and that's our model at the Bank of Missouri, is to be that trusted advisor. We help companies navigate through banking on a daily basis. These challenges are no different. It's a lot of things we've taken for granted over the years with the FDIC insurance and how we do business, but continue to trust that Bank of Missouri banker that is your trusted advisor. They are trained, they're prepared. A lot of us have been here before, and we're here to answer any questions that people may have.
Adrian, I really appreciate you taking this time to just help us navigate through kind of this situation and help us figure out how to step forward too. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you, Nicole. And we are here to help. These are unprecedented times, challenges that have come and gone over the years. We have been able to manage through very effectively, and we are well positioned to make our way through these latest challenges as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Adrian. At the Bank of Missouri, we help you live well, bank well.